Hello, everyone. I'm here with Tina Kirkland, Chair of our Leadership Council, and Steve Skeen, Chair of the Finance Team, to express our gratitude to you for being so faithful and so generous with your tithes and offerings. I've asked Steve to share some of the details of our current financial status, and I've asked Tina to share with you how your generosity has had a direct impact on our community. Steve, won't you take a moment and share with us?
Thanks, Herzen. I do have some good news, but first I'd like to give you a little bit of background. Back in March, we had a meeting shortly after the decision to close the church's facilities, and David Good, our Minister of Operations, was able to put together several different forecasts and scenarios about what that might mean for the church and giving and our financial situation. We reviewed those and took a very conservative approach in terms of creating a COVID-adjusted budget, which dramatically reduced our expectations for giving, and then also dramatically reduced the operational budget and the expenses that we were able to cover. And we made the decision then to freeze a lot of the expenses and freeze a lot of especially our ministry expenses. So that sounds very ominous, and I know you're thinking, when does Steve get to the good news? So the good news actually is that our giving has not seen the dramatic decreases that we might have expected. The church is actually the operational giving is at about 94% of the original forecasted budget for this fiscal year, and the church is really in a very good financial situation. We have been able to, because of that giving, those giving levels being maintained, we've been able to unfreeze those ministry expenses. We've been able to open up many of the operational things that we would normally like to do as a church, and we've been able to also maintain a lot of our cash reserves, all of our cash reserves and cash reserve positions. Part of that is through a payroll protection loan from the government that was used to fund a lot of our summer payroll. And because it was used for those purposes and approved purposes, we expect that the loan to be fully forgiven. The church is actually on a very good financial footing, and that's for three primary reasons. The first is the great stewardship of the people that preceded me on the finance committee. The second is the faithfulness of you as a congregation and your willingness to answer God's call. But the primary reason and the biggest reason for our financial position is because of the grace of God and His goodness to His people. So thank you, Herzen.
Thank you, Steve, for that good word. Tina, how has Hillside's generosity directly affected our community?
Hello, Hillside community. As you've heard today, a major impact has been made because of your giving. Because of your extended giving beyond first fruits, I see a community that is intentional and inviting. I wanted to share a few examples with you today of the many things that we've witnessed just in the last several weeks. We've seen meal trains. Many of you cook and send Uber Eats just as a blessing to others. And a recent community event over the last couple days where you're blessing teachers, lunchroom personnel, bus drivers, and admin assistants with prayers, gift card trees, and gift card boards in the local schools. You're fulfilling Amazon wish lists for those teachers and doing chalk art and balloons so when they walk into school, they're encouraged before they even hit the door. I've seen many of you send cards and prayers. People are talking about going to their mailboxes. They're receiving text for special occasions, text for doctor's appointments, just things like that where they have been prayed over. Another example is you picking up groceries and medications for those and help with bills like power and cable. We've seen the blessing of people having flowers delivered to them out of the blue for no special occasion at all, other than to let someone know that you're thinking of them and that you want to encourage them. And another story that I wanted to share is my daughter and I were on our way home from carpool the other day, and we saw someone doing yard work in our community. I think that it was just their ministry of that particular moment. I'm not even sure that they knew the impact that God had for the moment. But because of their obedience and giving of their time, they were able to be inviting to this homeowner. And I guess they sat down afterwards and had a conversation and explained online worship and were very inviting them to church, explaining modern worship, traditional worship. And now this person is just logging on every week and looking forward to the day that she can actually come to our campus and have her first Sunday of worship in person, just like many of you are. But I do I think we can all do little somethings like this for others and be inviting. So I say to you, Hillside community, thank you for your prayers, your presence, your gifts, your service, and your witness.
Thank you, Steve and Tina, both for being here today and for sharing the good news. Again, I want to thank you all for being so faithful in your giving. Because of you, Hillside Church continues to bring the good news of God's grace to this community every single week through online worship and online discipleship opportunities and providing needed resources for those who are in need of food or shelter. We could not do it without you. So may God continue to bless you for your kindness and your generosity.